Hello, I am Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are
TwinFinity. We are twin flames in union who have been sharing our 20-year journey through a series of videos. And through the course of that, we've had some people ask us different questions about the whole journey, about the experience of being twin flames. And we thought rather than continually answering them individually, it would be better if we started doing question and answer videos. And that way we can communicate with all of you much easier. Because as you know, if one person has a question on this path, it relates to many others. So we're going to start doing question and answer videos to help you with your questions.
Yeah, this is going to be our first question and answer video. We've got our story videos. We've got tangent talks, of which we've done one, and we're pretty excited to dive into this first round of questions.
And before we do, I just wanted to say a quick thing. If those of you who've connected with our videos, or even if you haven't, we have done a question and answer with Marla Kelly of Twinstrology. What's it been, about a month at least? No,
just about 2 months, but now.
Yeah. So we thought we'd finally start doing them more frequently for you guys.
Okay.
We're going to dive in?
We're going to dive into the first question?
Sure.
Okay. When you and Rob separated for the first time, how did you do it? Like, how did you handle your feelings, etc.? I would like Angie's feelings particularly because I know you guys had a hard time with the back and forth, the push and pull dynamic. I have to walk away. I see no alternative at this stage of the journey. Staying in this circle of back and forth is not working for me. How do I accomplish this without absolutely losing my mind for good?
That's a great question because, yes, as she knows from hearing our story, we have certainly been there. So a couple of things. First of all, the push-pull dynamic or push-pull experience is part of the dynamic. It's not something you can just easily walk away from, as you know, because you do feel that constant pull to each other and that push away from each other. So what I would, number one, recommend is find out what is it that's pulling you back to the other person. What continually is drawing you to them? So once you know that, you can maybe start to heal that or connect with that within yourself. Release it, whatever it is that's drawing you to them, then you can be more aware and hopefully shift it. Then when you're also feeling the push back away from them, also look at what it is, what's triggering either of you that's pushing you back away from each other. Those are some clues to help you start to, instead of just going, oh God, I don't want to deal with this push and pull anymore, to actually face what the push and pull is doing, what's happening in all of that. So when you can see what's drawing you to them and what's pulling you away from them, you can start to heal those things instead of just staying back in the cycle of together apart, together apart.
With these kind of relationships that we are having, it's very, very difficult to make absolute and concise breaks.
Yes.
Because in order to get to the point where you've become frustrated, you've also had to understand and actually very much believe in the path itself and in the connection itself. So it's very understandable in various forms of reality that if you try to walk away and make it end instantly, it might not work that easy. The hurt from the inside might still cause you to leave a door open for various forms of communication. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. For something that's as strong and powerful as a twin flame connection, to completely walk away and cut it off, that's pretty harsh. That's hard to live through. Maybe it is better if you just leave the lines of communication open so that maybe sometime in the future they can rekindle. How do you live with the thought that it might rekindle? Like, do you look at your phone or check your computer every day? That's a hard one to answer. Yeah. Everyone has to find their own balance.
Yeah. Well, a last piece that I would add to this is, again, the push-pull is part of this dynamic, and what is sometimes happening is when you pull away from each other, you go apart, you grow, you learn, you heal, and then when you're pulled back, oftentimes you're pulled back because that energy that you've worked on, you now need to share with your twin. Because you're not always working on the exact same thing that needs healing. So you might be working on something, your twin might be working on something else, and then when you come back together, what happens energetically is you're now sharing that so that your twin gets the growth that you've experienced and vice versa. So there is reason sometimes for the push-pull. But if you've had enough and you just need out, I would recommend doing a lot of nurturing for yourself. Really take care of yourself. Focus on your own needs. Whatever it is that your twin is giving you that is either no longer serving you or you don't want from them anymore, learn to find that within you. Learn to go within and connect with your own balances within. And hopefully that will help.
Well done.
Thank you. You too.
Next question.
Next question's kind of two questions. So we're going to read one, answer it, and then read the second part of it.
It's quite the paragraph. I almost thought it was 3 questions, but we're going to try to do it as 2. It starts out as, Angie, I think that once you started to focus more on yourself, you started to attract Rob more and more. Is that right? If so, how did it happen? What did you do, and what ways did you feel he was coming closer to you? Like calling you more often?
Okay, so what she's referring to in this is later in our story than what we've gotten to in our videos, because some people have heard our whole story through Marla Kelly or Dio Veselinoff. They kind of know the long-term stuff that we haven't shared yet. So what they're referring to is when Rob and I were just coming back together, and actually even before then, we were just starting to redevelop a friendship after I had learned that we were twin flames. I would text him and he wouldn't answer me. He would go weeks sometimes without answering me, and it used to drive me insane. And this was before there was much information about twin flames, so we didn't understand anything about the push, the pull, the chaser, the runner, none of that. We didn't know any of that stuff. So I would text more, still nothing, still nothing. Finally, I got to the point when I would just let go and accept that he wasn't going to respond, and I'd carry on with my life because, you know, at that point I was very self-sufficient and I didn't need him to respond unless I was in that place of needing it. But once I finally just literally surrendered, that's what I finally had to do without even knowing that's what I was doing, that's when he would respond. It became an easy pattern to see after a while. The minute I finally just let go and thought, whatever, if I don't hear from him, I don't hear from him. The minute I finally moved on, he'd respond. So it got easier and easier to go, oh, okay, I see what's happening. And I would learn to detach my energy. I was very aware at those points of energy and knowing that if my energy was clingy, I didn't know he could feel it. I didn't understand that part of the connection yet. But I knew that that's what was sort of pushing it away.
We get a lot of comments from other twin flames, most of them not in union, but still in communication with their twin flame partner. And what seems to happen is that as soon as you give up or surrender on a 3D level, all that does is leave the 5D communication more available to be used.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the harder you try in 3D, the more it clouds the 5D. So when you give up in 3D, the 5D communications tend to get through better. And people find more that when they're not trying is when they do tend to hear more from their twin. So that's hard. It's very hard to validate, but we have a lot of people commenting that is the trend, that's what they've noticed. It worked for us, both in the early times and lately as well. So a trend is a trend. I think that can also be used.
Yeah.
Don't try so hard in 3D. Gently communicate in 5D. It's a short answer, but it seems to work.
And remember, your twin is the same energy, so they feel you. So if you're coming from that energy of need, desperation, want, clinginess, pulling, they feel that. They might not be feeling that consciously, but 5D, spiritually, they feel it. So once you let go of that, that's when they respond, which is exactly what I experienced with Rob. Yeah. Okay, so should we do our next part of our question?
Let's go to the next part.
Okay.
When you reconnected again, you had no job. Now, this is referring to Angie. So how did you overcome all of this and have a business now? I'm asking it because with this awakening process, I feel stuck. I do not want to go back to work for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, in something that I'm not feeling fulfilled in my soul. A lot of us have that trouble. Even though I have a teaching license and could be working right now, I am stuck in a part-time job as a substitute teacher. That many times I only work 5 days per month because I have no strength or motivation to work. I need a lot of rest from this ascension process. My twin is a successful businessman and I am stuck here without knowing what to do. I think he does not know that I am in this situation and we are not talking to each other.
Yes. So first, just to clarify, it actually wasn't when Rob and I reconnected just a few years ago that I didn't have a job. It was when we had met
the first time.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had actually moved from a different city to the city he was living in and chose for the summer not to get a job. I had just graduated from university as a nurse and I was really burnt out, so I chose not to get a job for the summer. But then once I started to apply and looking for jobs, I could not find anything. And I was told not to for the very reasons you're talking about, the ascension symptoms. I had to go through that. And my angels, my guides were telling me not to get a job so that I could face all of that without having a job because, as you know, it's very hard. It's very draining. I mean, there were sometimes I needed a nap in the middle of the day because I was just exhausted back then. So it was actually when Rob and I had separated 20 years ago that I didn't have a job. But to answer your question of how I ended up having my own business now was manifesting. As we've shared a bit through our story, I was learning Reiki back then, 20 years ago, and I was learning about manifestation. So I was writing in my journal that I wanted to have my own Reiki business. And with doing that, I was realizing that as a business owner, if I was going to be a business owner, I would need to know how to do bookkeeping too, because I'd have to do my own books. So I was even manifesting learning bookkeeping. And wouldn't you know it, that one was what came true. It was actually 2008 that I started to learn bookkeeping. Not even really intentionally. I was actually wanting to get out of nursing because it just was not serving me, much like you're expressing with the teaching. Nursing was very draining for me. I struggled a lot in it, though it gave me a lot of gifts. I do not regret my 10 years that I worked as a traditional nurse. I still work in nursing, but not traditional nursing. So all those years that I was in nursing and really struggling with it as an empath, it was very hard for me. Again, back then I didn't know I was an empath, so I didn't know why it was so hard to be a nurse. But I was really liking administration part of the nursing and wanted more of that and less of the people part. And I just got thinking I would love to do something admin, bookkeeping, work like that. And years down the road, it came to me. So without any real effort other than just thinking about it for many years. So that brings me to the topic of the fact of our thoughts genuinely do create our reality. What we think about, we bring about. So what I would suggest is start manifesting consciously. Start thinking about what you do want and give it more energy than what you don't want. Gratitude is huge in that. When we're grateful for what we do have, we draw more of it to us. When we complain about what we either do have or what we don't have, we also bring more of that to us. So be grateful for what you do have, whether it's, the little bit of work that you do have, maybe even be grateful for the fact that you do have the time to do the healing and the ascension work. This job that you're in might be absolutely perfect for you. I didn't know it at the time with all of my nursing jobs, but they were such a gift. They taught me so many things, even though I struggled tremendously through them. They were a huge gift to my learning. I mean, I wouldn't maybe know now that I'm an empath and know now how to take care of myself had I not gone through so many struggles back then.
The taking care of oneself, it's uncanny how many twin flames, especially the girls, but I'm going to throw myself in with this round too. How many twin flames with the strong feminine energy are also in nurturing positions.
Mm-hmm.
The teaching, the nursing,
Good point.
social workers. Myself, I work in an industry where I'm in customer service, so I'm out there trying to reduce people's stress. I work in automotive, so I'm trying to keep people's cars on the road as best as I can. People are coming to me stressed, and I'm trying to get them calmed down with action plans. And it's interesting how often we get into the ascension process and not know how to nurture ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're so good at looking at everybody else that we've looking after everyone else that we haven't figured out how to look after ourselves.
Good point.
It's a huge part of the learning curve, and a lot of us are in it or somewhat through it or most of the way through it. I don't know if we ever get completely out of it. I haven't seen that yet.
One last thing about the manifesting. I actually wanted to give a visual demonstration. I like doing visuals because I'm highly visual myself. So currently, I do still have my own bookkeeping business. I've probably been in that for 7-8 years at least now. But I also do have a full-time job that is truly a dream job. And I am happy to say that I created this job. I drew it to me by manifesting. I'm going to show you this first and then I'll talk a bit about it. This is a recipe card, and what I've done on both sides is write everything that I wanted. I did this, I'm guessing, about 6-7 years ago. I just wrote down everything that I wanted for a job. So I'll just read you a few of the things. Some is, I attract the perfect position quickly, easily, and effortlessly. I love what I do and I enjoy going to work. I feel fed by my job on all levels: tasking, helping people, spiritually, appreciation, financially, balance, stability. I work in a great environment with positive, happy, healing energy that is comfortable and close to home or an easy drive to work. I work great, stable, consistent hours, weekdays only, 9 to 5, 7:30 to 3:30, or something like that allows me plenty of time for my own bookkeeping business. And one other one that's very, very neat. I have a kind, respectful, helpful, easy to connect with and work with boss superior. So there's more, but I won't read all of them. So let me explain to you how this ended up happening. The miracles of the universe, I tell you, our thoughts are so powerful. First of all, what I did, if you notice, this is all folded, it's got some rips in it. How I manifest is I write down everything, even if it seems unlogical, like it's not going to be at all possible. I don't care. I put it all down. Then what I do is I read it 3 times a day, and not only do I read it, but I feel it. I feel it as if I have that job. I feel the joy. I feel what it's like to drive that quick drive to work or work from home or whatever it is that I'm wanting. You can do this with anything. I've done this with manifesting the house that we live in. I've done this with many things, and there's many ways of manifesting, so if this doesn't work for you, Google and see what works. But it's simply about thinking about and feeling what you want. Speak about it as if you have it. Think about it as if you have it. Feel it as if you're living it. So I would do this 3 times a day. I would meditate in the morning and do this. I would bring this to work with me, which is why it folds up so little. I folded it into my pocket, and then I would do it at lunchtime, and then again at night when I was meditating. So let me tell you a little bit about my job, just to give you an example of how miracles really happen. I actually got the current job that I'm at 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years next month that I've been there. It was an acquaintance of mine who found out that I do bookkeeping. Oddly enough, the bookkeeping is what connected me to this job. And she had just started this job that I'm now at herself and said, "Oh my God, I need help with the bookkeeping. I've never done bookkeeping. I don't know what to do. Would you come help me?" For 2 years, I helped her every couple of months. I would just go in and teach her, fix her mistakes, help her learn what to do. And through this, of course, I got to know the owner of the business. And then when this lady needed to move on from this job, she recommended me because I knew the job. I was helping her learn it. So it was an instant hire. The boss didn't need to interview me. He already knew me. So I got the job instantly, and it truly is a dream job. It is a 10-minute drive from where we live, a 7-minute drive if lights work perfectly. It's 8 to 3, which allows me plenty of time to still come home and do my own bookkeeping work for my own business. My boss is incredible. He knows I'm a twin flame. He allows me, when it's not busy at work, to be on Facebook doing all the stuff I do with Facebook, all the twin flame stuff, answering questions, posting, all of that. He's right there. He knows exactly what I'm doing. When Rob and I first saw about the Chicago conference, I told him about it, and I said, we're not sure yet if we want to go. And my boss, okay, this is a boss. He's like, you have to go. What boss tells you to take time off work? Seriously? This is the amazing boss that I have. So everything that I wanted, I got. This job allows me to keep my nursing degree and my nursing skills, because there is nursing involved, but it's also a lot of administration. It gives me the opportunity to do my own personal stuff, like twin flame stuff, at work. When Rob and I were getting married, my boss not only allowed me to do a bunch of wedding stuff at work, he helped me do wedding stuff at work.
He planned more of the wedding than I did, without a doubt.
Yes. So I wanted to share this very personal story to let you know that manifesting does work. You don't have to do it my way. It doesn't have to be done this way. But really, it's about focusing on and drawing to you what you want, because we're a magnet. We attract everything into our lives by what we think, say, and do. And
for
it's
those,
possible.
For those people who have not been able to manifest the perfect job, I sometimes just have to recommend that you stick with what you have. Because if you blow up what you have, you could end up in a much worse position. So, as much as sometimes you don't have the proper energy it takes to focus on work, and also some other issues like ascension processes, sometimes you have to do what is best for yourself, even if it is staying focused on a job that doesn't do anything for you other than pay the bills.
Yep.
Paying the bills is still important.
Yes.
But keep trying. Keep absolutely trying.
And also know that your guidance within is your best guidance. If you're feeling called to leave a job that's no longer serving you, maybe there's toxic people and it's just not where you need to be, always go with what you feel within. It's best guidance we can say. So I think that was a long answer, but I hope it serves your question well.
Okay, next question.
Yes.
I do not feel that Rob is a chaser. In what part of the story is he a chaser? And Angie, I know you were a runner in the beginning, but have you been a chaser too? I would like to comment from my point of view that for the first approximately 4 months of our relationship, I was definitely being a chaser.
Yes.
I recognized our bond. I wanted to keep this relationship, grow it, and see where it would go. And as Angie was starting to drift off, doing a lot more spiritual growth.
And I was also so triggered by the connection that I had so many issues that were coming up, and I just didn't want to face any of it.
I had to be the chaser because there was many times where Angie would have just run away for a week or two and not been in contact because she was just scared of what this was all dredging up. Yeah. So yes, at the very beginning I was very much feeling like a chaser, but I also didn't see any harm in that at all. I just needed to let Angie work her way through stuff. So I was happy to be the chaser.
That's funny.
It wasn't until things started to look hopeless to me, and maybe up until the firing, that when I shut down as far as trying to grow the relationship anymore, Angie was getting all sorts of signals to keep staying
in contact.
Positive, in contact, as much as I was staying in contact too. She was the one that was starting to pour love my direction, especially on the 5D level. And at that point, if you wanted to argue that she was being the chaser and by just not responding very much in 5D that I was doing some running, I would accept that argument. But I think that because we were still both being in contact with each other, I think that we were both balanced in our contact. Yeah, but I had definitely stopped chasing so hard because I was really starting to give up, lose hope.
And just for you, those that don't know us, don't know our story, we actually did not find out we were twin flames, or I didn't find out until 2012. Rob and I met July 25th, 1997. So literally 20 years ago. I didn't find out about twin flames until 2012. So we did this runner chaser stuff without knowing what it was. We didn't know there was this dynamic, so we didn't know how to stop it because we didn't know what we were doing or not doing.
We didn't know what we were doing right or wrong or anything else like that. So we didn't see the pattern. We were just drifting back and forth between being in contact or not. Sometimes a week at a time, sometimes a day at a time.
Yes.
Didn't know what it was.
Now, for me, I was much more the chaser when I learned that we were twin flames. There was very little information about twin flames out in 2012. That's when it actually started to explode. But when I first learned, there wasn't much, so I still didn't read anything about runner chaser stuff. But I was the one, like we shared in the first question, I was the one texting Rob. He was still in a relationship. I was still in a relationship, but I just felt this pull back to him. That same magnetic pull was there again. And so I was texting him more often, and he wasn't responding. So I was the one constantly reaching out, constantly pulling at him energetically and physically in 3D too. So that's when more I was the chaser, for sure.
We have shared the roles of both runner and chaser between us.
Yes, we have.
Me being a chaser a little bit in the first time around. Her being the chaser in the second time around.
Yep. So we've both been both.
I guess you kind of come to union when you both become chasers. There's a thought.
Actually, you come to union when you both stop chasing and stop running.
Yeah, maybe that too. Yeah. And when you're doing neither, you just stay together. Just be. Exactly. Okay. Next question. What symptoms did you have before reunion, if any? How do you know it's happening? Were there any dreams or numbers or any signs? Or were you surprised that it came in 3D?
And this question, some people or another person has asked a very similar question. So we're going to read theirs too, and then we'll answer them together. Yeah, where'd that one go?
It's up here. What are some of the signs to know that union is coming close? What were your personal experiences?
Okay. So,
first of all, let's go back to that first one.
Yeah.
Because symptoms of reunion. I realize that sometimes there could be a little bit to do with language barriers in these questions, because we've got questions sometimes from various different regions of the world. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of translating going on. Symptoms, no symptoms. Symptoms would almost mean that there was a feeling of sickness, of unease. I've never had that physically. I've had it mentally. In our story that we've been sharing about our 20-year journey, just shared that I had a pretty heavy breakdown. I couldn't even work properly for months. So, yeah, mentally it was much harder on me. Physically, I was okay. But I've also heard a lot of people that do get physical symptoms. Sickness, headache, it does happen.
Yeah.
That I could say that could be stress related, but I don't know. That could come from any angle.
Some of the other things, though, rather than symptoms, because I'm like Rob, I didn't have a lot of symptoms before reunion. What I did have, though, was the telepathy started between us. One night I was just sitting on the couch watching a movie, and all of a sudden I can hear this voice talking in my head, and I'm like, what is that? And I just learned, I don't even know how I knew it was Rob, because just the connection, right? And he was talking to me, and I'm like, what's going on? So telepathy started.
Now, I didn't know I was doing any of this.
No, not in 3D.
This is soul-to-soul chatting. I wasn't thinking of her to the best of my knowledge at that particular time. Yep. Wow, there's a lot that goes on in the background that if you've got your head in 3D, you don't know that it's happening. But it's usually always happening. The soul is out playing its own role that it needs to. It's out experiencing what it needs to experience, as well as keeping tabs on what it's experiencing through our 3D selves too. So sometimes things are happening in 5D that you have no clue of.
Yeah. Also, for me, there was more dreams of him and also astral travel. I was able to start to distinguish the difference between a dream and astral travel. Astral travel did not feel like I was asleep. My body was asleep, but it felt very much like my soul was awake and if in a different dimension. So a lot of neat experiences in astral travel where we would meet in soul form and have these neat connections of, for an example, one of them was he kissed me in 5D. And
I missed that. I'm really sad about that.
Too bad, 'cause it was good. And the next morning I'm like, wow, what, like, did I make all that up? Did I imagine that? And then I'm driving to work and I see this license plate. I kid you not. And it said my kiss. And it was like, okay, that was real. So there was stuff like that. Numbers for sure. Yes, the 1111 everywhere. Being a bookkeeper, oh my God, do you ever see numbers? I saw the 444, 777, 888, 1111. You name it. Every number possible.
Even after we got together, we were going on a vacation and we needed to buy travel insurance. And when the person who was selling us the insurance added it up, they said, yeah, the total is $111.11 for this insurance.
Yeah.
We bought the insurance.
Yep.
That was crazy. That was just nuts. Stuff like that starts to happen generally for twins when they're getting together. It happens as you're still individuals. You start to see these signs.
Patterns everywhere.
Patterns. Yeah, billboards will come up and there'll be the other person's name way too often.
His last name, even on license plate. I saw his last name. I still actually have a picture of this. Even at work, the job I was at the time, we did a lot of contracts, real estate type contracts. And on one of the contracts was the client's first name was his first name. The wife's name was his last name, which was weird because it's not even a normal name that you would have as a first name. So, I mean, stuff like that, that's just beyond coincidence. You're like, okay, universe, I get it.
If the universe wants to give you signs, they will be all over the place. Don't ignore the coincidences. They can be there. If they're going to come to you that way, they're going to come many ways to you that way.
And one last one that was very powerful for me was I was still living in the current house that I'm in with a karmic partner. But yet, this karmic partner and I were already starting to move away from each other in terms of we were living as roommates. We were sleeping in separate rooms and separate floors of the house. And so I'd be at night brushing my teeth in my bathroom, and I would get flashes of Rob standing right beside me brushing his teeth. And then I'd shake my head and it'd be gone. Same thing, I'd go to the garage to get my car in the morning to go to work, and I could get a flash or just an image would pop up of his vehicle in the garage. Same thing in the kitchen, like he was all over the place in the house. I'd get these weird flashes, visions, images, and then they'd just be gone. So it was like the universe was validating that, yes, he's coming. Now, keep in mind, though, that just because these were experiences we had before a union, it doesn't mean if you have them that it means union. I mean, everybody's journey is different. So we don't want you to think that, okay, I'm getting the numbers, I'm getting license plates, I'm getting all this, it means union's coming. Every journey is different. So there's no guarantee. I know a lot of people that have been seeing numbers for years. I used to get the visions, the dreams 20 years ago. And it didn't mean it was coming 20 years ago. So you just never know on this journey. Divine timing is all we know. So I hope that helps answer that one.
Speaking of which, karmic partners, which you mentioned a little bit.
Yes.
The next question, it's a little bit longer. I'll see if I can get through this. My question is about karmic partners. How could we leave them and when we have a bad financial situation? Literally, when we live with them only because we don't have any other options. This is my current situation, and it's a huge sticking point. My twin flame lives on one continent with his karmic partner. I live in a different continent with mine, but we don't have any romantic contact for almost 3 years since I found my twin.
Okay.
I met my twin personally a few times, across the continent. The huge sticking point in this situation is that if I move to a flat from my karmic relationship, I couldn't afford to travel and meet my twin personally. We don't have daily contact because he doesn't talk to me. He only contacts just telepathically. If I stay with my karmic, I would have the constant fear of how to tell him when I will travel and that I need to lie in order to do that. I don't want to lie. Not saying he wants our relationship back. He knows that I love my twin. I even tried to explain this concept, but he doesn't like to hear it from me and has no idea about all of this. What do you advise in a situation like this or similar situations with karmic partners? When the feminine has financial issues and can't separate.
Do you want to take that one first, or do you want me to?
There is bits and pieces that I could talk about, but if you've got something specific, let's let you start.
Okay. So here's an interesting fact that you may or may not know about the whole twin flame dynamic. We have come here and chosen all sorts of challenging situations. Growing up in abusive homes, alcoholic homes, growing up with our twin flame long distances from us, maybe cultural differences between our twin flames, age differences, race differences, all sorts of different struggles that we have to overcome. Financial is also one of them.
Financial is one of them. Sometimes a person is pinned in place by their financial situation. You can't barely keep the roof over your head. Or if you did keep the roof over your head, but just barely and move away from a situation where you do have the ability to travel because two of you are working together financially, yeah, you could really risk cutting yourself off from your twin. But if you're also very much meant to be together, the universe is pretty good at changing other situations as you go. When you change one thing in your life, it generally has a big ripple effect through many other things. And there just may be other doors that are just getting ready to swing wide open. So basing a decision on just one change, often, like to make the change or not, is often a little bit misleading because a lot of things are going to be changing when you change just one thing.
Yeah. So all these things that we have as struggles in our life are not meant to push us down, but for us to overcome. We're here to break all of these old patterns, to release all of these old energies, not just for ourselves, but for the entire world. We're here to change Earth, all of it. So we've come and chosen these challenges for a reason. And a lot of the times it's meant for us to face them and trust that the universe is going to support us. So yes, in your situation, it might mean that you need to take the risk and move out on your own, because it sounds like it's not to the point where you're destitute without your karmic partner. It simply means if you don't...
if you move out on your own, you really have a big fear that you won't be able to travel to see this person.
Exactly.
What about the thought the other person, when you lose your capabilities, becomes more capable of seeing you?
Exactly.
You may actually find that being out on your own, other opportunities come up that relieve some finances, and you do have a chance to travel and meet your twin. Sometimes you got to take those leaps of faith.
Yes.
I can't always encourage that because sometimes people take leaps of faith and for whatever reason it falls flat on your face. But in a good many cases, one of my mottos, one of my mantras is things are only ever half as bad as they seem. And it plays out true so many times. So if it's questionable, if it already has a glimmer of hope that you wouldn't lose complete contact, chances are that glimmer of hope's a little bit bigger than you think.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith, this journey that we're on.
Yeah,
and sometimes you just have to keep leaping.
And when you take that one step forward, the universe then opens another door. But they're often not going to open the door until you take the step of faith first.
And oftentimes it's not the door that you think it's going to open.
Very true. And who knows, you might move out on your own and think, okay, now I don't have enough money to see my karmic partner or my twin flame because I'm no longer with my karmic partner. But like Rob said, what if now your twin flame has more opportunities to come see you? What if they end up getting a job that lives closer to you? Maybe you end up getting a better job that now pays you more money. Who knows? There's so many amazing things that happen once we take that one step forward. The universe is sometimes just asking us, take the step, because you have to grow in that way. You have to grow in that trust, and then opportunities unfold.
Learning trust, it's a big one. It's a big one on this journey. So, yeah, those leaps of faith.
Yeah. So what we would recommend is really, again, go within. Find out what feels right for you. Is it right to stay with your karmic partner? Or does it feel like, yes, I need to take that step of faith and move out on my own?
Another quick point of view on this. If your karmic relationship is actually just not worthwhile staying with, then you need to make a decision to leave it anyway.
Exactly.
Just for that reason. Let's not even worry about the twin flame connection.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If financial situations, they're tricky. But, the world looks after us.
It does.
Sometimes
Doors
it
open.
does.
Yep.
Next question.
Yes.
My TF hasn't visited me in 5D in many weeks, maybe close to 2 months. It's been the longest time for me yet. What was the longest period for you, and how did you handle it? If you try to bring someone into 5D, are you chasing?
Questions. So I will answer that because I kind of had more of the 5D. When we were reconnecting, you didn't really have the telepathy, right?
No.
Okay.
I get feelings from Angie, but I never know when I've sent feelings to her. I just never do. She'll come to me and say, hey, were you thinking of this or that? And I'm going, yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah, we get that a lot.
We actually bounce that one back and forth.
So for this, as I was saying in an earlier question, the telepathy started shortly after, I shouldn't say shortly, a while after I discovered we were twin flames. I discovered we were twin flames in April of 2012, and I'm guessing about 2013, 14, somewhere in there is where I first experienced the telepathy with Rob. When I started really developing it, because I started to actually believe that it was real, we would have long conversations. Sometimes we'd chat all day long in 5D, and then other times there was nothing there. Like, no matter how hard I tried, there was nothing. And that's when I finally also realized that it was real, because I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't force it. So I knew it wasn't my imagination. It wasn't my own mind. So I don't know really how long the longest was. I'm guessing a week or two, maybe 3.
But that's after we started to reconnect.
Yes, we were chatting more as friends by that point in 3D.
But with the 5D connection, did we not have breaks of years between the first time and the second time we met?
Well, I don't ever remember having the 5D conversations until 2013-14.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember ever talking telepathically. Don't know back then. So, okay, so did you want to say something before I answered her chasing?
I did. I also want to comment that oftentimes when a twin withdraws, they're actually doing work.
Yes.
They're not
point.
They're not shutting down. Sometimes a person has to rein in all of their energy because they're going through a growth time. So the ascension process, going back to a previous question.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if a person goes silent, it's because they're doing work. It's not because they're trying to disappear.
Yes. Excellent point. As far as the chasing part goes, chasing can happen in 5D just as much as it can happen in 3D. How you know you're chasing versus not chasing is the energy that you're putting out. If your energy is just concern, hey, I love you, how come you're not connecting, are you okay? Whereas if your energy is, oh my God, I need you, I want you, hurry up, come back to me, and you're pulling in that draw, that neediness, that's chasing. So it's more of an energetic. If you're communicating in 5D and you're just like, hey, I haven't heard from you for a while. Is everything okay? I don't know if you talk in 5D like I do, but I just chat as if he was sitting right beside me. So that's what I do. I don't know if everybody does that. But again, it goes back to the energy. So that's how you know if you're chasing or not, 3D or 5D. Same thing in 3D. You can send your twin a text and just say, hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. If you send it like that, maybe that's not chasing. If you send it with, oh my God, I haven't heard from you. Is everything okay? And how are you doing? I haven't heard and I'm desperate. That might be chasing. So just pay attention to your energy, and that will more tell you. It's not so much your actions, but the energy that goes along with the actions that is a chasing dynamic.
I don't know if I worry too much about the runner-chaser dynamic when it comes to 5D communication. 5D communication is quite the blessing, and only if one twin of the two realizes it, it's really a blessing. And I'd say that trying to communicate by 5D is just trying to use a blessing. I don't know if I'd ever call it chasing, except for maybe with the example that Angie just gave, where you're really, really trying to pull someone with 5D communication.
Yeah. Chasing
is more of a 3D thing.
I don't know if personally I agree. I think definitely it can be 5D too. Chasing is about the energy and about what you're putting out there. You can put out chasing energy in 5D just as much. So chasing is definitely more 3D in, we do it in actions, but you can definitely chase in 5D as well.
Still, not concerned about it. It's communication. Communication's important.
I think as long as you're honoring where your twin's at, if you're hearing from them in 5D, hey, I need some space, even if you're not, even if they just go quiet and they're not there, if you can feel and tap into them and you know that they need space and you continue to pull at them and pull at their energy, that's chasing. If you honor where they're at and just go, okay, I respect where you're at, I know you'll come back, all is well, then you're not chasing.
Agreed.
Next question?
Yes. This one obviously has a little bit of translation to do, so I'm going to throw in some extra words just to make it smooth. After he learned of my love, he ran away from me, and I was so confused that I decided to cut the etherical cord between us. What are the results of cutting the cord? What should I do with him? And also, yes, he has another girl.
So, like some of you may know or may have known from experience, you cannot cut the cords with your twin flame, the one you are actually connected to. Why? Because you're connected. You are the same energy in two different bodies.
It's like cutting cords from within yourself. You can cut cords between two souls that are different, but when it's essentially the same soul, that's a very hard cord to cut, because as soon as you cut it, it hurts yourself too.
You can't cut the cord to yourself. You can't.
I don't even know if you could accomplish that.
No. So,
it's difficult to word, but yes.
Just to give a little bit of a personal experience, when I discovered that Rob and I were twin flames, and again, I didn't know much about that. I didn't know that you couldn't cut the cord to your twin flame. I tried it too, of course. We have to try it all ourselves. So I gave it a shot, and it didn't work. It actually just made him stronger 5D. Because I truly, at first, thought that telepathic connection was making me crazy. I thought I was crazy. I mean, when you hear another voice in your head, yes, we tend to think we're nuts. I did too.
About the time she was cutting those cords, I was just starting to think of her more for no reason whatsoever that I could think of. So all it did was just prod me a little bit awake. Not that I recommend that you try to get a hold of your twin by trying to cut the cord.
No.
But in our case, no, it just didn't work.
No. He came to me even stronger, and the connection got stronger, not weaker. So it's just not possible to cut the cord with your twin because they are the same energy, and you can't cut your own energy. Now, quickly, just to address that he is with another girl right now, yes, that is very common in this journey. What happens is we come together, we find this connection, even if we don't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
then we're repelled apart often because we have to now separate to do our own healing work. Oftentimes, our healing work involves other people, which are karmic partners. So honor that he's with someone else. I know it's hard sometimes, and you think, but I love this person and I want to be with them, and there was someone else, and it just kills me. If you can trust that that other person that they're with is really helping them do the healing work, do the growing work, and they're actually helping them come back into union because of the work that they're doing. We would not be together now were it for not both of our karmic partners. They were such gifts to our relationship.
I've actually identified at least 2 good, strong karmic partners, and both of them were very essential to my growth. They taught me many, many things. 3D and especially 5D and with my second karmic partner. It was amazing how I drew someone into my life that was very necessary for me to have so that I could learn enough that reconnecting with Angie wasn't a bunch of surprises and things that I couldn't understand. Totally. So these karmic relationships, there's a lot to be learned from them.
They're a blessing.
Based upon our experience. Yeah. So sometimes you have to put up with them for a while. Hopefully not a long, long while, but the long, long while is up to you to decide what that really means. For us, it was 17 years.
Yeah. And 12 years you were with one karmic partner.
One karmic partner.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not easy, but just trust that they are really serving a very, very good purpose in your twin's life.
Everybody is very important in your life. You learn something from.
Yes.
So you can only hope your twin is learning what they need to learn.
Yeah.
Got another question here, similar to a previous question, and therefore it might make it a little easier for us to answer. When you were going through the clearing of karmic pattern stages, physically, did you feel any headaches or a lot of other physical symptoms and various other yucky bits to go through?
I don't remember feeling headaches back then. I do get them now still as part of some of the ascension symptoms, not so much as the karmic patterns, but for sure some of the ascension symptoms. What I've learned to do to manage them is meditation, huge amounts of grounding. I won't get into an explanation on grounding, but if you want more, certainly either Google grounding techniques. There's lots of different ones, or you can message us. We'll give you what I do. But also salt baths really help, drinking lots of water, getting a lot of rest, very good nutrition, low sugar, high fiber, all of those things really help.
Anything that it takes to help yourself. The exhaustion is very, very common.
Yep.
I'm a high energy person, and sometimes though for a week or 2 at a time, especially when other twins are also mentioning it too, I feel it. I didn't used to feel it a few years back, but the deeper and deeper I've got into this, with the heavier levels of growth, I've started, along with many of you, to feel times of exhaustion at the same time that a lot of you are as well. So, if you can look after exhaustion by other means, even if it is dialing back your life a little bit, eating a little bit better, it all helps.
Yeah.
Yes, there can be some of these symptoms, as much as we tried to deny it in a previous question. Again, it's a lot of times how you feel. I don't get headaches. I don't get the real physical ones. I don't get the sore knees or the headaches.
Oh, and I get the sore hips too. Yeah, I get that one a lot.
She gets sore hips.
Yeah. So again, all of those things. But your question was also more in terms of clearing the karmic pattern stage. Yeah. When I was doing that a long time ago, yes. Oh, I get a lot of, again, I don't remember the headaches, but I remember everything else, the exhaustion. That's why now looking back, I was so grateful that no matter how much I tried, I could not get a job because I needed to not have a job. It was so hard. It was exhausting. It was just draining. I mean, some days I'd sleep till half the afternoon because I was just exhausted. So, yes, been there. It's not an easy part, but it's part of the path.
This next question, I quite like it. This next question could be a video all by itself.
No,
But
boy.
we're gonna try to see if we can chop this down and keep it a humane length.
Yeah.
How did you guys manage to see each other when you were both in a karmic relationship? And how did you both feel about it? Was it easy to separate from your karmic partner? I have already got divorced, but my twin is still with his karmic partner, and I know it's not easy for him. How was it to be with your karmic partner and still thinking and loving your twin? How long did it take for both of you to realize that you could not live without each other after reconnecting and both having karmic partners? Yeah, how did you two manage to see each other when you were in a karmic relationship? Both of us.
Are you going first on that one?
I'll go first on that one. Okay.
This is rough.
This is
This is where it gets really real.
the real bit is that when you're in karmic relationships, yet you know of each other and you're seeing each other and you're recognizing the twin flame connection, which is a very deep, spiritual, loving relationship. To see each other during that time, we were not necessarily being very fair to our karmic partners.
No.
We were meeting in a cafe or going to a coffee shop, whatever, in little chunks of spare time, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, maybe a half hour here and there, when we could drop out of sight from our karmic partners. This isn't very nice.
No.
We are, in essence, doing, well, a little bit of emotional cheating. Is that a term? Yeah, it's a hard one to swallow.
Yep.
But when you start seeing someone else, whether it's a twin flame connection or not, when you're in a relationship, you're going down a bad path from this point of view of your karmic relationship. So how did you see each other? By lying, inventing, deceiving, making situations up where you can just disappear for a while.
We don't recommend it, by the way.
No,
We've gone down some paths that, we'll gladly do them, so you don't have to. You can just learn vicariously through us, because know that the end result of it was
It's
really ugly. We won't
very
even tell you about that
stressful.
here, but it was not worth it.
As our story goes on, as it starts to run into the getting together the second time when there's still karmic partners around, it's messy, it's hard, it's difficult, you lose a lot of sleep, you wonder whether or not you're going to be in physical danger, financial danger, and all those other things that go along with not being forthright with the relationship you're in.
And it also made us both question our integrity. Like, who are we? I mean,
what are we doing?
Yes.
What are we about?
We're lying to the people we're living with. I mean, granted, for me, it wasn't as hard because as I shared already, my karmic partner and I were already moving away from each other. We weren't in a physical relationship anymore, but we were still living together. We were still grocery shopping together. We were still going to movies together. And we had not physically said, okay, we're done, we can see other people. We had not had that conversation. He was still under the impression, hoping that we would work our troubles out and get back together. I was clearly moving in a completely different direction without letting him know my intentions. Not healthy, not mature, not integral.
I was still in actually a closer relationship. I was still doing the laughing, smiling, sleeping in the same bed, etc., that goes along with an attempt to keep a relationship together. So I was even feeling a lot worse about that. Along with the twin flame journey also comes a lot of conscience issues. And a guilty conscience is a good guide. If you're doing something that doesn't feel right, chances are it's not right. So yeah, we've both been in a not a great place over this, and nothing to be proud of.
No.
But we've put it into our past. We've taken our lumps. There's a few people in our personal lives who have let us know and given us those lumps because they didn't either believe or understand or need to believe or understand anything we were telling them. So yeah, it's just a bad place to be. In the end, would she do it again?
No.
No. Would I do it again? Yeah, but I would do it differently. I would choose a more mature, more sensible route. If you're if you're if you have any hope of getting together with your twin and you're both in those other karmic relationships, maybe talk about whether or not you want to save the grief and agony and let those relationships go before you get too deep into trying to put together the twin flame relationship. Again, going back to other bits, chances are your karmic relationship is not worthwhile keeping anyway if you're starting to get a little bit more serious with your twin. If you're starting to talk about your future together, it's time to break away from the present you're in.
Yeah. And just to answer the last bit of that question of what did it say? How did it feel of what you did to your...
How long did it take for both of you to realize that you could not live without each other after reconnecting and both still having karmic partners?
It was quick.
It was quick, just a few days. The switch in me flipped very, very quickly after I started to learn about being a twin flame.
Yeah.
I started to realize that we were somehow or another going to be taking another chance, to use a term.
And from when I told him to when we actually moved in together was 3 months.
3 months.
So, yes, we lied. Yes, we cheated. But just to be clear, we didn't cheat in the terms of we weren't meeting at hotels. We weren't meeting at motels or anything like that. We were meeting at coffee shops, at parks. We were trying to talk to each other going, okay, what do we do with this? We've just discovered this information that we have this connection, that we've always had this connection. What does this mean? What do we do? So for us, we didn't know how to tell our karmic partners because we didn't know ourselves what we were in. We didn't know if we were ready to jump into this full feet, all feet, everything. We were trying to figure this out.
I wanted to take a bunch of time. I wanted to take 6 months off between the karmic relationship and even considering to get together with Angie because that would normally make sense. Take some time off, get your head clear. The path didn't give me that time.
Yeah. The magnetic pull gets so strong that you're like, okay.
And all of a sudden the opportunity was just right there. So it happened way faster. Again, it's like taking those chances. Sometimes you get a break from spirit that is not the one you were expecting. I was just looking for a little peace and quiet and harmony, and all of a sudden there was an instant chance to move in with Angie. What did I do? I moved in a hurry. Did not look good. A lot of people passed a lot of judgment.
Yep. And also, lastly, when I told him November 8th that we were twin flames, he woke up to it November 11th. Yes, I know, 11/11. What a perfect day.
Can't help it. That's the dates. It's all part of becoming a strong believer in what you are and who you are and what you're doing.
So the fact is, this was just before Christmas. None of us were going to blow up our lives or our karmic partners' lives and say, oh, by the way, I've just discovered I have this connection with somebody else that I've had for 20 years, and I'm going to go with them and leave you. We didn't even know we were ready to do that, let alone to tell somebody else that, and let alone to tell them at Christmas time.
Oh, that's brutal.
So we waited until February, once Christmas was over and New Year's was over and all the holidays were over, before we blew up anybody's life. Was it right? Was it wrong? You can argue either way. The fact is, what we did was what we needed to do, but we could have done it better without the lying and without the deceiving. We don't recommend it.
Would have preferred to have done it way better. But done is done. And, well, hopefully a few other twins can be a little more proud of their route.
Yes.
It still got us to where we were. Can't deny it. Glad we're here. Could have been better.
Could have been easier. We made it really hard on ourselves.
Okay.
What's next?
Yeah. What should you do while your twin is in a karmic relationship during the separation period? I've been working on myself and doing lots of inner work since I found out about his karmic relationship. Perfect. You're doing it.
Totally.
If your twin's in a karmic relationship, chances are they're learning.
Yes.
If you're not in a karmic relationship, you got the opportunity to work on yourself.
Yep.
You're doing just about exactly what you'd need to do.
Completely.
I'd recommend being where you're at.
And I think when you say working on yourself, do it all. Date yourself. Nurture yourself. Be kind to yourself. Heal. Whatever comes up, whatever triggers, face them all. We just shared, we're also, as we've mentioned, sharing our story, and we just shared a piece of our history that I didn't fully heal before. So I still had to heal it this past week. So when stuff comes up, face it, heal it, look at it, work through it, process it.
And if you're blessed with the time, it is a blessing.
Exactly. I was just going to say, this is your opportunity. This is perfect. Your twin is in a karmic relationship. They're doing their own work, and trust that they are doing the work. They are not just there having a party, and even if they are, that's part of the work. But they are in their own way doing what they need to do to heal, to grow, to learn. So yes, spend your time wisely and do whatever the work you need to do, but also discover who you are. As I said, date yourself. Learn what gives you joy. Connect with yourself. Bond with yourself. Be your own best friend. Because in order to get to union with your twin, you have to be in union with you. So find your union. Love yourself. Enjoy your life.
Okay.
Anything to add?
No.
Okay.
Next question. Do either of you have children from your past relationships/marriages? If so, how has it affected your union? I don't have any children.
No, and I'm laughing because after that question I wrote no.
No, yeah. She penciled in a N-O in capitals with an exclamation mark and a smiley face.
And a happy face.
And a happy face. So the answer is big time no for both of us. Neither one of us have children. Both of us have been in karmic relationships, so we were step parents.
Yes.
I was in my longest karmic relationship. I started out with a 9-year-old and ended up with a 20-year-old. That was a lot of hard growing years.
That's enough of children for me.
Yeah.
That was hard.
So, from a step-parent point of view, I've had children in my life. From a direct, absolute connection through myself, I have to say no.
And I'd like to explain for me why I wrote no exclamation mark happy face. It's not that I hate children or anything like that.
No, we don't hate children.
No.
I don't understand them very well, but okay.
Yeah. Do you want to share first your explanation before I share mine?
No, just go ahead.
Okay. So I grew up very, very quickly. When my younger brother was born, I was 16 months old, and I basically became a mom right then and there. I was a nurturer the minute he was born. And it didn't quit until I was 23. My family fostered handicapped kids when I grew up, so I was around children my entire growing up years. Even when I was in high school and university, even though we were still fostering, I made my money through babysitting. That was my income. So kids were literally my entire life, from the moment I was 16 years old, or 16 months old, until I was 23. So by the time I graduated from university, I was kind of kidded out. I needed to be the kid myself and finally parent myself. And that's when I started working on my own inner child and healing me. So again, not that I hate kids. I've had a lot of kids in my life, and I'm really enjoying not having kids in my life now.
Myself, I was an only child, and I stepped into the world of communicating with adults from about age 4 on. Mm-hmm. Usually age 5 is when I really say I was starting to function as closer to being an adult, because I was always with adults. Without the siblings, I really did run into a little bit of social interaction problems with kids of my own age. So by the time I became an adult, I was a little disillusioned with this whole living through childhood bit, and I just never got excited about having anybody else come along as a product of my own effort to have to participate in being a child. So I've never been excited about having kids. My childhood wasn't bad, but it also had a lot of stresses in it.
Yes.
So just never had kids, never really wanted to. I've always believed that two people need to be in a very committed, child-wanting situation, and I've never created that around myself. No kids.
What's really, really neat is when Rob and I met when I was 23 and he was 33. Again, this was 20 years ago. We agreed together.
Didn't want them.
Our bond was so strong from the very beginning. We were talking about marriage and our future life together after only a month together. And kids was a very strong topic. And we agreed way back then that we both did not want kids. So it's interesting how all the years of separation, 17 years of separation, both of us still are in that same place. No kids.
No kids.
Together or with other people. We've never had kids.
Yep. Step-parents, but not real parents.
Yes. And we must say we so honor those of you that do have kids on this path. I can't even imagine. We have a dog, and that's enough work. I can't imagine doing this journey with children.
I've done many
Hats
crazy
off.
things in my life, and people who have kids of their own, they also have a bravery of their own. It's a type of bravery I've never found.
Yes.
Next question.
All right.
What does it mean if we see our soul connection's name over and over again?
Yes.
Also, how to deal with the pain of reconnecting with our soul's connection, especially when our soul connection is with someone else. Let's go back to seeing that the name or seeing signs of someone that you're in a soul connection with. It tends to happen.
Yes.
Yep.
In fact,
We've talked about this a little bit already.
yes, we've talked about it, but I'm going to also share another little piece of a story. I have dated in total 4 Robs, him
Yes.
being one of them. He's
Yeah.
Rob number 2. So, yes, Rob's chased me everywhere I went. And you've had how many?
I've had angels chasing me. There's Angie, Angela, Angelina. So I've had 3 angels of my own.
And my full name is Angeline, so whatever, however you want to call it. He's had all the same.
Yeah, you've had the Robs,
Yep.
Roberts, Robins,
Yep.
Robs, as per se. So, yeah, and oftentimes the names do tend to come up over and over again.
And why that is the universe is just affirming to you, you're on the right path, this is the right person, you're in the right place, you're doing the right things. So, it's just validation from the universe is all it is.
Okay. Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay. Let's answer it the way it is. We've already talked about this in our stories, in our videos, but for those who haven't been following the videos, it's a very good question. Are you now in union and sharing a flat from before when you were separated, or did you buy a new one when you got together?
So yes, Rob said we sort of answered this question. When we met 20 years ago, we actually met in the same apartment building. So we never did live together back then. I lived on the 11th floor. What a surprise.
I was on 36th.
And
I wasn't good enough to choose 11. Not even 22.
Not even like I chose 11. It was just what was chosen for me with pink carpet and all. But that's a whole other story. So we never did live together back then. And now, as much as we miss our apartment and we talk about it, every time we drive by it, we go, that's where we used to live. We do not live there anymore. As we mentioned just a bit ago in a question, we actually live in the house that I ended up living in with my karmic partner. So
yeah,
how odd is that Rob's living in the same house I lived in with another man before?
Yeah, her karmic partner left the residence. I was able to move in, but that was also part of a manifestation that Angie had, and also I kind of liked it here from an outside point of view. Anyway, I knew where this place was, so yeah, it's not something that we went out and got together. We both didn't have to blow up where we lived. She was able to stay put. I was able to join him.
Though that was not part of what we saw as what was going to happen. This is one of the things going back to the question of, do I leave my karmic partner and move out on my own? We were prepared, literally prepared to live in a hotel. Both of us thinking we're going to be moving out of the places we currently lived in. And until we could find a home together, whether it was to rent or buy, we were planning on whatever we had to do, we were ready to do because we just needed and wanted to be together.
Didn't think it was going to happen this way.
Nope, but miracles happened and we're here. that's part of our future stories in our story videos.
Next question. What do twins do if they get different priorities in life? My twins' whole life are as children, while I prefer adventure and traveling. What can we do to become more in balance with each other? Or is this all a sign that we are far away and might not ever get to union in this life?
Shall I take that one?
No, I want to start with this.
Okay, you go.
First of all, just because you're twins doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the same priorities in life.
Exactly.
I've always been a crazy athletic kind of person. Gotta love the sweatshirt. And Angie, not quite so much, although still capable. When it actually helps in many situations to not be the same person. If you have a diversity of interests between the two of you, when you get together, it also allows for a diversity of growth. One person can help the other person grow in directions that they normally wouldn't be in.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid to be different people. Now, priorities is a little bit of a scattered bit in all of this. If someone's life are their children, are they really working on themselves? Are they just using other distractions to avoid growth or avoid the pain of growth? That's where the different priorities in life, as opposed to just the differences in life, can be a little bit harder to overcome. A person can bring children into a relationship, and there can still be lots of adventure and traveling. Sometimes it might be a little bit simpler, like camping, or maybe you just do as a group of 3, 4, 5, 6 in a family unit. Just travel lots. That can be expensive. But that's a different topic.
That's a whole different topic.
So yeah, I'm not too concerned about the differences and the priorities of life. When it does come time to get together, these differences are overcome. And that is the important thing to remember. The differences, while apart, is another time to keep growing.
And I think also it's like Rob's saying, it's okay to have differences. We think because we're twins, we have to be identical. For us, for example, I love going to things like the ballet and plays and musicals and stuff like that. It's not Rob's bag at all. So I don't even ask him to go. I honor that that's just not his thing, and I go with a girlfriend or someone else. He likes sport.
I go out and I play badminton twice a week, as a thought. Or sometimes I grab my bike and I go crazy places and crazy distances. Angie doesn't want to do that.
I'll do some things with him, but not the intense, crazy climb a gigantic mountain that's going to take 20 hours of my day. No. Rob will do those crazy adventures. I'm like, go, have fun. I'll stay home. And also, he's highly extroverted. I'm highly introverted. So we honor each other, and we know that I can only manage so much extroversion in a week. And if he needs more than that, then he's welcome to go out, do his own thing, and I'll do my own thing. We are not glued together.
Yes, when she's overloaded due to too much socialization, sometimes to have me go away for a day is a chance for her to recharge in a quiet house. So sometimes the differences work in people's favors.
Yep. And I think that's also about having union within, is when you know that, okay, I love to travel. Great, travel. If that means you're doing some of that without your twin, that's okay. You have to honor what is right for you and nurture yourself. Doesn't mean you disrespect your twin. Just means you know who you are and you know what you need and you take care of your needs. You don't expect somebody else, especially your twin, to be the one to fulfill your needs. You know that you are the one that needs to fulfill your needs and do whatever makes you happy.
Signs that union is far away or close. The differences don't really have any bearing on the signs.
No.
You can get together with many, many differences. Basing whether or not you're close to union based upon differences or different priorities. If the priorities is being in touch with each other that's the priorities that are important.
Yes.
The other ones, whether or not you spend a lot of time with children or friends or by yourself, not as significant.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Were you happy and content by yourselves when you finally met again a few years ago? How would you describe your state of being at the time before your final meeting? I was pretty content with myself. I was happy with myself without being ecstatic with myself. I was in that karmic relationship, so my state of being at the time before our final meeting was, well, I was probably a little bit tense, according to how I would be able to describe it. Being in that karmic relationship, it wasn't going perfectly for me, but I also wasn't looking to escape either. So there was some internal struggles, but as far as being happy with myself, I was quite happy with the kind of person that I was. When I started to get into reconnecting again, I did some things that didn't make myself too happy. Well, we talked about that a little while ago too. So just before we got back together, I was quite stable. I was good with me.
And for me, when I first discovered we were twin flames, again, this was April of 2012, it was a very confusing time for me because I was happy with myself. I was actually feeling more balanced than I'd ever felt in my life. I was also happy in my relationship. At that point, my karmic partner and I were together. We were doing well. We were actually on a holiday when I discovered the whole twin flame thing. Rob and I had just met in March for my birthday. We hadn't seen each other in a couple years, and we met for my birthday. And it was like something was flipped back on in my soul, and all of a sudden this man is like in my thoughts 24/7, and I'm like, what is my problem? Like, I'm in another relationship. I'm happy. He's in another relationship. Why can't I stop thinking about him? So I Googled soulmates. I don't even know what I was looking for. I just needed some sort of an answer, and that's when I found twin flames. But I was already happy. I was joyous in my relationship. I was happy in my life. And I was thinking, I don't know what the heck all of this is. So, yes, was happy, was doing well, was feeling balanced. And then everything changed.
Yeah, then we ended up inflicting some times of unbalance on ourselves.
Next question. So I think we did that one as part of the other one.
Yes, we did. I think we talked about this already, but let's put it out there and then move on. Did you change places, towns much, or was there always a town you two were in?
That's a good question.
We were both raised in the Edmonton, Alberta area.
This is in Canada.
In Canada. I moved to Calgary. 3 years later, Angie moved to Calgary. We met. We broke apart. Then she moved away.
Yes, I got married in 2005. So we broke up in 98. Fast forward a couple years. I got married in 2005, and my husband at the time, this is also, just to be clear, not the karmic partner that I lived with and talked about just in our last question. This is a separate person.
There was a karmic partner between the end of her marriage and the beginning of us getting together again.
Yes.
I almost need a graph behind us of timelines.
Yes.
It's hard to keep hard for us to keep track of.
There's Rob's, there's a marriage, the marriage person isn't a Rob. Oh my goodness.
There's karmic 1 for me, karmic 2 for me.
It's confusing.
No wonder it took 17 years.
Yeah. We had a lot of work to do on ourselves, let's face it. So we get married, we feel this call that we have to move to another province. Just again for understanding, because we live in Canada, they're called provinces, not states, for those of you that are in America or maybe other places in the world watching this. So we moved to another province, 8 hours away from where Rob and I lived in the same city, Calgary. And Rob and I had zero communication for the 3 years that I lived in that province. I moved. I said goodbye to him like I did with a bunch of friends. I just met with friends individually in a coffee shop, had a chat. Rob and I met, said goodbye. It was a weird, awkward meeting, which I didn't understand at the time, but he was just very sad that I was leaving, which I was like, didn't know that at the time. And believe it or not, the universe has a magical way of bringing twins back together. So I know for some of you in the groups, you will post things like, "Oh my God, my twin got married, my twin moved away, I'm never going to see them again." Were we not? Amazing things happened. I ended up getting a job in that province where I was living that ended up bringing me back to Calgary, to the same place that Rob had always been. So he never moved away from Calgary after he moved here. I did, and then came back through a job, not even through just my own volition of wanting to come back. It was a job that brought me back. And years later, here we are, back together.
Yeah.
So I'd been married, I'd been divorced, I'd moved away, I'd moved back, I'd had a karmic relationship.
I'd had 2 karmic relationships. We were just meant to get back together. Can't get around it.
You just never know on this journey what's going to happen. Twists and turns and things that make you further apart from each other. And then you think, how's this ever going to come together? It can.
This leads in right into the next question. The next
Okay.
question says, my question to both of you is this. Is it a constant testing of faith when what you see in the 3D looks like everything is taking you away from your twin? It just seems to look more and more impossible as time goes on. We always come back together energetically in times of trouble, but it's hard to keep the faith sometimes, especially when the time just seems to be running out. I suppose time running out can also mean that there's maternal pressures too. Sometimes twins are getting together a little bit later in life and someone is looking to have kids, but time is running out to do that, and yet they want to get together with their twin, but they're in a karmic relationship. Lots going on there. The testing of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell you what, just go back to the last answer we gave. Moving away, moving back, karmic relationships, marriages, it's all the big testing of faith. But during those times also for us, we weren't actually trying to be together. This is a little bit different for a lot of you out there who are, one of the 2 of you are trying to be together. Yes, is it a testing of the faith? Definitely it is.
Yep.
Wow. I can't say from personal experience, other than when I was giving up the first time on this beautiful connection that there was when I gave up and when I fired Angie. Yeah, there was lots of testing of the faith. It hurts. It was scary. It was sad. It was disappointing. It questioned myself. It really does rock you right down to the core. But when I see here when someone says we always come back together energetically in times of trouble, that's the positive faith you would need to stay focused on. 3D will do what it needs to do. It's the feelings you get from the 5D. If you still got those feelings, let it run.
I'd also like to add that, yes, number one, like Rob was saying, it is a test of faith. And like we addressed in a previous question, we have come to break all sorts of old patterns. So yes, there's a whole pile of things that are going to test our faith on this journey, like marriages, like religions, like living huge distances, sometimes literally oceans apart from each other, all sorts of things
like
that we have to overcome.
Like the decisions you make in your life that all of a sudden it cause you to question yourself. That's a deep testing of faith. Like,
yes.
Why did I do what I did?
Yes.
There's all sorts of testing of the faith.
The amazing thing about this journey, though, is, and I've said this before, is that our soul, our higher self, is what is in control on this path. So, yes, we may have times when we are pulled further apart, and it might seem like there's no way possible that my twin and I are ever going to get back together. There's just no way. And you just never know on this journey. There's like weavings of, how I keep envisioning it is like a car on a track, if you're in like a game type situation, or what are those called? Those little go-kart things.
Yeah, the little go-karts.
Yeah. So they're on a track.
They've got a center guide where you can move sideways 2 feet one way or the other, but the cart can't be made to go off of your lane.
Exactly. And you have a steering wheel, so you feel like you're steering, but you're really not.
You spin that wheel all you want. You're going to vary a little bit here and there, but
and
you're on a
this track
path.
is going to take you all sorts of ways. It's going to weave, and it's going to go way further. So you're going to have like a starting point, and then it's going to weave way over here and way over there. And finally, you come back to the same starting point, which is back with your twin. But in the meantime, you're like, well, this track is taking me so far away from them. How am I ever going to get back? It is a test of faith to know that this journey will bring you where you need to be. But in the meantime, it's also going to guide you in places that, yes, are much further away from your twin, but for a reason, because you need to be there to do whatever healing, whatever growing. It might be karmic partners. It might be jobs that teach you something. All sorts of different experiences that we have to go through in order to be prepared for union. So yes, trust the path. Trust your soul. Your soul knows what it's doing. We can attest to this because we didn't know we were twin flames. Yet we did this journey. And I don't say that out of ego, like, look at us. What I mean by that is that we had no clue. We had no clue what we were doing, but our souls did. Our soul knew the journey, just like your soul knows the journey. And that's why I continue to tell people, go within, because if you connect inside with your soul, your higher self, it has the answers for you. When you're stressed about, well, I've just moved further away from my twin, how are we going to get back together? You might be able to get answers within that say, don't worry, this is for a purpose. Trust the path, we will guide you. Whatever the answers you get within. But just know that, yes, tests of faith are part of this journey. Absolutely.
So anyway, do we have anything else in the well?
There was one other question I wanted to answer. Yes, this is a really good one because a lot of people ask and they would like to know the masculine's perspective on this.
So we're getting close to the end and I get all put on the spot by a question.
There's one other that I want to answer too. So do you want to answer this one last or do you want to...
No, let's do this one right here.
Okay.
Please help us. This must be a feminine question. Please help us explain the masculine's need to regroup by ignoring texts and emails. I know my DM loves me even though we are in separation. I feel it strongly, and yet I don't understand sometimes why he will ignore me for a while, and then sometimes he reaches out and responds. The question's a little bit longer than that, but it's all asking about how the masculine thinks. Okay, I'm going to call the bluff on this question because I had a chance to read it a few times. And, okay, most of us who are singles on this twin flame journey are the feminines. The feminines are the ones who tend to be awake right now. They're the ones, I don't want to paint the chasing term, they're the ones who are out there trying to make the masculine aware. So, of course, there's a whole lot of masculines who are getting overloaded and are not responding to texts and emails. If the shoe was on the other foot, if it was the masculines who were all trying to approach the feminines would be telling them to buzz off and don't contact me and everything else. So, I don't know if it's a masculine's need or whether or not it's a case of the aware twin, be it masculine or feminine, is overloading the unaware twin, be it masculine or feminine, and the unaware one can't handle the communication, can't handle the learnings, can't handle the complexities of what's being explained to them, and therefore, in order to get away from all this confusion, they're not communicating. I don't think it's a masculine and feminine, even though guys, I've seen girls cut each other off from communication just as much as the guys do, but the guys will often really go silent, And then get together over a beer and then straighten it all out and continue on with life as if nothing had ever changed. So guys do tend to go silent a little bit more because we're not, as a population in the North American society, we're not as communicative, we're not as open, so we tend to shut things off a little bit more. So I can see the point of view of the question, but masculine or feminine, I think it's information overload that's scaring the unaware into being quiet. And I'd like to smooth that whole concept out with that answer.
Now, I know we're kind of concerned with time. It's an hour and 35 into this.
I like to respect people's time, and
yes.
We typically do videos that are 45 minutes in length or so. So when we're clicking the clock over here at an hour and 35, I am very concerned that we might be overloading people, might be wearing people out. They might not be, not have the energy that they had an hour and 35 minutes ago.
But I also know people can pause a video and carry on. So we have, I think, 3 more questions. And if you guys are okay with it, not that we're going to be able to hear your answer, but we're going to carry on and just answer the last few questions because I also want to honor the people that asked a question. I want to make sure everybody who asked gets an answer. Just
wanting to know that we see both sides here.
Yes, yes. So this one says, there's one thing that happened last week that I found strange. My twin was having cold symptoms and a sore throat. We met on a Thursday for an hour and for the first time in 3 weeks. After our meeting, as soon as he walked out the door, I had a really sore throat too. I was feeling perfectly well before we met. But as soon as he left, bam, there I go. It was really strange. I managed to get rid of the sore throat pretty fast, but I kept thinking this is some strange energy thing between us. Could it be? Or am I just completely crazy? No, you're not.
Energy things happen all the time.
We're connected. We are literally connected on so many levels.
If her half of her soul gets sick, well, sometimes it happens to me too.
And to share some funny stories of our own weird things, Rob rarely drinks. He's not a drinking kind of person. And I don't drink. I'm highly sensitive. My body just can't handle alcohol. I haven't. I can only sip.
Drops in a thimble of alcohol, and she's either getting loopy or getting sick. Either one of the two.
Yeah, I feel nauseous after one sip. So at Christmas time, Rob had a little too much to drink. He enjoyed some days off. And the next day, I'm the one that felt hungover. And I'm like, what the hell? I don't even drink. Like, he feels great. And
I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a good day yesterday. I'm a little sleepy, that's all. Okay. And she's like, oh, I've been hit by a truck. I'm like, you got the hangover.
Yeah. And then also, for those of you that know us and know we've been sharing our story, Rob works in an industry where he has to do inventory. He works as a parts manager, so inventory was
December 30th.
Right, 30th. Because his year end at work is December 31st.
What a great time for year end, huh? Merry Christmas.
So we go to bed that night before his inventory, and I'm helping with inventory, of course, being the wife of the man with this, and also being a bookkeeper and stuff. It's kind of part of my job to help. So I got no reason to be stressed. All I'm doing is going to work and counting parts. How hard is that?
I hit the pillow, bam, I'm out. I'm having a good sleep, trying to get ready for the next day. I don't always do it every year, but I was having a good sleep this year.
I'm awake at 3 in the morning, feeling stressed, pacing the floor, and I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? I got nothing to be stressed about. I'm feeling all his stuff while he's sleeping nice and calm.
I have the inventory for my report card, my yearly report card is how this inventory turns out. Have I been doing a good job or haven't I? She's got the stress. She's awake.
So yes, not crazy at all. You are simply connected with your twin. You are the same energy, just in 2 different bodies. So, if your twin's feeling something, you might very well be feeling it too. Or you might be feeling it and they're not. Yes. Not at all abnormal.
Yeah. It's strange coincidences to do with energies or events have happened so many times that even for a brain that occasionally goes totally 3D for days on end, no, I'm a complete believer. This path has taught me so much to do with the connections, the energetic connections between twins.
Yes.
It's completely there, undeniable, complete believer. Doing videos expounding such, yes, there's connections there that you will always have.
Yes. Now this next question is a bit long, so I'm going to just kind of summarize it for you and give you the gist. This person, much like a lot of the feminine energies, struggling.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to tip you over.
Okay, thank you. You can bring me back.
Yeah.
Struggling with the connection in terms of their twin not, understanding the connection, and their twin doubting it all. And literally in the middle of the street, this person yells and trying to explain to their twin about all these things. We have this connection. We have all these neat things about us. And it freaked the twin out, and the twin's like pulled right back, the masculine energy. And now she's going, oh my God, did I terrify him forever? Is he never going to communicate with me? And what did I do?
What did I do in the middle of this busy street with all these people around yelling at my person? Hey, we have this good connection, and why are you running away from it? No.
And she's saying, every time I want to quit this journey, I feel pulled back to him, but it seems it's not going to happen for him. I think I've terrified him to the point he's never going to communicate. I answered her privately because it was a long question, but she gave me permission to also share her story with you guys and in case it's helpful to other people. And why I thought it was very important to answer this one in this video is because it might help you all understand. Again, we've just shared we are connected. For those of you that know Debbie Dubois and watch her stuff, she's actually the one that came up with this brilliant analogy, and I love it. She calls it the rubber band effect. And I actually pulled out a rubber band. Yes, of course, it had to be pink.
Pink rubber band.
I'm me. So how it works, because we're the same energy, and like we've shared in some of our other questions, you can't cut that energy. You can't cut ties with your twin flame. So same thing, if your twin, if you've scared the crap out of them or done something mean and hurtful, and you think they're never going to come back, yes, they're going to pull away like that rubber band. They're going to stretch really, really far away. But guess what? They can never break that connection. So if they pull away, it's just a rubber band, and all of a sudden, someday, it's going to come shooting way back.
And the further you pull, the harder it pulls back.
Exactly. So know that there is nothing you can do to your twin that's going to push them away forever for any reason, because part of the reason you're together is to learn unconditional love, and you're meant to do things, not necessarily to be hurtful, but to trigger them in ways to have to force them to learn unconditional love. And it might be harsh lessons. We've just done a video earlier today about some harsh lessons we had to go through to learn unconditional love back in 1998. So yes, know about the rubber band effect, that you are connected. You cannot break that bond. So if your twin pulls further away, don't worry. It just means when they do come back, it's going to be a snap back maybe, because that rubber band is going to come back.
And just from a 3D point of view as well, if somebody goes a little crazy and is trying to really stay in touch, really try to drive their point home with someone else, that someone else, as much as it might have just scared the bejeevers out of them and they think that they're being stalked by some crazy person, at the same time, they can't also deny that that other person has something that is very dear to them for information. So you may scare someone with a lot of information, but that, as we said earlier here, that silence, that running away for a while is also a chance to possibly regroup.
Yep. So true. All right, last two questions. Throughout the years, did you find yourself thinking of your twin any less? How dull did your awareness of each other become over the years? Or was it present fairly consistently, even over decades? You want to answer that first, or do you want me to?
I'll give you a first shot at this.
Okay.
Because I think you've got a great answer.
Well, again, because we didn't know we were twin flames, I'm sorry I say that often, but I have to reiterate that because our journey was a little different because we didn't know.
And that's the interesting thing. Not knowing what we were We barely even thought of the concept of soulmates, let alone twin flames. So, how dull did your awareness of each other become over the years? Uh, it became dull for quite a while. When I finally managed to move on, firing Angie didn't get her out of my life at all.
It took
When
years.
when I finally was able to move on into other karmic relationships, I didn't think of her very often, but did she completely leave my thoughts for years at a time? No.
Well,
Maybe a few weeks at a time. But I also have been a person that's respected my past as something that has taught me a lot. So when I would stumble across odd spiritual things that were happening, I would occasionally think, what would Angie think in this situation? Because I'd given up because she had gone off on a wild spiritual journey. I didn't disrespect her journey. I just didn't think that I couldn't live with it.
and a perfect example of the fact that you still thought of me, even if it was dull, was that song. What was the song? The
Drawing a blank.
Drops of Jupiter.
Oh,
Train
yeah,
song.
Train. Drops of Jupiter. Wow. As soon as I heard that song, that's her song, theme song. Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. As you sometimes hear music that'll remind you of a time in your life. Well, that song reminded me of a person in my life.
Yeah.
And when that song would play, every time that song would play, I would think of Angie.
And for me, similar, yes, it did dull quite a bit over the years, only because through a story that we'll get to in our story videos, it's too long to explain now, but in a weird roundabout way, I was told that we were not meant to be together, and it just wasn't for this lifetime, so I had to let him go. I had to move on. Yes, it was hard. It took many years. To be honest, and this is maybe not the best thing to admit, but I'd be lying in another man's arms wishing it was his arms around me. It took a long time to let him go, to release him, to move on. But I finally did, and yes, I was able to dull the thoughts over the years. But still, he was there in little things. Going to the mountains. Every time I drove through the mountains.
Every time her birthday would come along, I'd be thinking, "Aw, happy birthday." And once in a while, I would send off that text. I think a lot of times I did, but there was a time.
There was lots of times that we didn't communicate.
We didn't communicate.
A lot of years.
Because when she actually moved away, I didn't have information to get a hold of her.
No, we had not.
So there was 3 years in there for sure where there was no communication.
Yep.
She didn't contact me, even though she could. I didn't contact her because I couldn't. I didn't know where she was or what her phone number was or anything.
Yeah.
Back then, you just couldn't jump on Facebook or Google. No, it didn't work that way.
No. And we were also in other relationships. I mean, I had shared I got married. So
didn't really want to because you're supposed to be not in communication.
Yeah. So we had done our best to move on. As you can see, it didn't work.
Didn't work.
It's still here. But we did for a while move on. We did. So another question. I have so many who don't understand who tell me to just forget him and move on. Speaking of moving on, we know it's not that simple. How did you and Rob handle these comments, which I'm sure you heard?
Yes. In our story journals, I've just gone through a point where I've had a bit of an emotional breakdown. I had people, other friends in my life, who were telling me, yeah, that's because you have that crazy person, Angel Angie.
Yes, they used to call me Angel Angie because I talked with angels and channeled angels.
Give up on her. Move on. Find somebody sane. Whatever. I did hear that from a few people in my life. Yeah. You'll hear those comments, and sometimes you'll try to heed that advice. The journey will look after what kind of communication you're in. Try as you may, as we've just said earlier. If you are truly meant to stay in contact, you will stay in contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes if you've been in contact with your twin and other people are telling you, don't bother, it's a waste of time. Yeah, they might judge you a little bit harshly, but your friends are your friends. They'll put up with you through the good times and bad like most others will.
And if they don't, they're clearly not part of your journey anymore. You might lose friends on this path. It's unfortunate, but
Friendships, if you don't lose them, the friendships might change. And sometimes other friendships that were not so strong, other people might choose to believe, to understand, to be sounding boards that will help you through it too. So um, I don't want to be so harsh as to say people come and people go, but sometimes people do ebb and flow in your life.
yeah.
And if they're telling you things, they're just trying to help. So
They're trying to help from their perspective, but they don't understand the journey.
they might not be helping you very much because you know differently, but still at least honor their attempts. If they were not telling you anything, then that would mean they probably didn't care enough.
Exactly. I was just going to say, know that they do mean well. They just don't understand the connection. And it's like you've probably experienced already. If this is something that you're sharing with a friend that's not a twin flame or that hasn't read anything about twin flames, they're not going to be able to understand it. Unless you're living this journey, you don't get it. Even when you are living it, you still want sometimes to just let go and move on and forget that person, but you can't because you're connected. So it's one of those things that, yeah, it's a tough challenge. How do you deal with it? I just learned to speak only to the people that would understand. And the ones that didn't, I just stopped sharing because it was too hard to listen to their judgment when I was already going through my own judgment, my own confusion. I didn't need more of it. I needed somebody that was going to validate and go, yes, this is real. There is a purpose to this. So just find what works for you. Sometimes it is talking with only twin flames. Sometimes it's talking with only people that understand. Sometimes it's sharing with everybody and just saying with everybody, hey, this is my journey. If you get it, great. If you don't, I respect that too. But please honor and respect my journey. Whatever serves you. Last question. My soul feels his pain as stuff is coming up for healing. I guess this is his awakening/ascension. I sometimes just want to shake him, but understand and respect his own personal growth and spiritual journey about coming into his own. How did you cope with or balance/cleanse your energy based on your counterpart's energy? My soul feels his screaming for help. Yes, I did understand that. When we started reconnecting and Rob started talking to me telepathically, actually the first thing he said to me is that he wanted to be together but didn't feel adequate to me, and he didn't feel spiritually advanced. Seriously?
Spiritually enough advanced to handle someone like Angie. I have a lot of pride in the spiritual journey that I've been on, but I guess maybe I'm humble, that would be a word, about how deep or how far it's been. I probably always will be. I've considered it to be a very personal journey, and I haven't necessarily compared it with many others. And because it's my own journey, I don't know if there is a measuring stick that I would believe in anyway. But when I look at someone like Angie, who's channeled angels, I don't believe I've ever got anywhere near that. So I did have feelings of spiritual inadequacy.
And yet, I mean, he's deeply spiritual. Clearly, we wouldn't be in union. He wouldn't be here talking videos and doing question and answers if he wasn't. So it was just his own stuff he needed to work through. So what I did is I just, in my meditations, I would talk to him telepathically. I would send him love, and I would reaffirm to him that yes, he is worthy. Yes, he does believe. Now also I would remember though that was a piece of me. Again, because we're connected, we're mirrors. So if he was feeling inadequate, clearly it was a part of me that was feeling inadequate. So it was also learning to heal that within myself and know that it was something within me that still needed working on. So it was both working with him telepathically, but also working with myself that helped us through that little piece. So that's what I would suggest. The question again is, how did you cope with or balance, cleanse your energy based on your counterpart's energy?
Keep improving on yourself.
Yes.
Your twin will feel your twin would feel your own growth as well.
Absolutely.
So you can share your growths back and forth.
Yeah.
And with that, confidence can also be shared too.
Yeah. So it always comes back to working on yourself. Yes, you can talk to your twin either in 3D or 5D if they're not resonating with you yet in 3D. Talk to them, reaffirm to them, but also do your own work. For me, that even included chakra clearing and all of that kind of stuff, doing Reiki, all of those things that help balance me, because we're connected, that help balance him. So do whatever you need to serve you, and that will serve your twin in their own way. What?
Thanks for that little boost of confidence.
Aw, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we're all done.
Well, we've got through the questions.
So we hope we've answered all your questions. We will definitely do more of these, and what we will do is do them more frequently so we don't have so many questions and we don't do a 2-hour video. We try, as Rob was saying, to honor your time and not make these videos so long, but we know that
once in a while we might
happens.
have to play catch up, or once in a while what we need to talk about is just going to take some time.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. Sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I still dislike that statement.
Thank you, Dio, for the is what it is statement.
Yes.
So on that note, we will say goodnight. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for giving us permission to share your questions so that other people can work with them as well and resonate with them. And we will be back with more.
There is more questions on the way, we're sure.
Yes. We love you guys. We honor your journey, and we are so glad that you allow us in to help and support. We're here to help how we can.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
Have a good night.